Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Central Screen Services LLC, in collaboration with Mask & Sons Incorporated. All screen services are available. We offer a variety of colors, durability, and sizes for all your screening needs. Pool areas, patios, and more. Call 352-603-4099 today for your free estimate. Proudly serving all of Citrus, Sumter, Hernando, Lake, and Pasco counties. To find out more, check them out on Facebook. Lions Only Landscape. Looking for landscaping or trimming done in your yard? They provide services such as landscaping, rocking, curbing, driveways, and more. Proudly serving the Villages area. Reach out to Mike Zapata or Fernando Arredondo for free quotes and more info. And today we are super excited about our guest, our special guest today. He is our coach over at the middle school, and he does a great job with the program, bringing the young guys from our Wolfpack program to the middle school, and then they get ready for high school. Our guest today is none other than Mr. Coach John Kinley. John, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Billy. This is so much fun.
What's one of your favorite formations or plays to run?
The best play in the world is right 24 and left 25. I mean, you're going to hear that all throughout South Sumter,
right? And
it's just exactly what it is. Football's a game about toughness.
Right.
They can spread it out and all this stuff that they want to,
right?
But when it comes down to it, I'm going to face you.
Yep.
And I'm going to be tougher than you.
Yep.
And we're going to run this play, and you can't stop it.
Yeah.
But then my philosophy is I like to use the whole field, all 60,
right.
120.
Right.
So we're going to run a lot of screens, jet sweeps, tosses, and then run a lot of base blocks right down the A gap.
Right.
Once you start spreading out, and that's what I want you to defend the whole field. That's kind of our philosophy. And some years we have fast guys that can do it, and some years we can't. We have to run more power.
Have you ever thought about? I've always wondered this, and I know there's a simple explanation for this, but do you think middle school would ever do like a playoff thing?
I wish they would.
That would be so cool,
but,
because you do your 6 games and you're done.
Well, we would like to play more than 6 games too, but not every county around us has middle school football.
Right.
So Lake County doesn't, Marion County doesn't.
Right.
Pasco's got so many middle schools now, they don't need to leave county.
Right.
We would love that. And I think we had some teams in the past that would make a wonderful middle school run.
Right.
We'll play anybody. I like to have an 8-game schedule every year. So we've gone as far as Swanee one year, played them. Last year we had Stark Bradford come to us. That's awesome. So we're going to go travel to them next year, and that's going to be awesome for our kids to do that. So we're excited about our schedule this year. We got Zephyr Hill Christian Academy this year. Lakeland Christian again is going to play us again, along with Stark. So we're excited about that schedule this year.
What's a coach that you played against or coached against in all these years that you're like, man, this is the guy. He's like you were glad you beat him, but you're like, man, like when he beat you, you're like, it was hard to get mad because and I know you
when I first started. Now you had Dennis Durkin and Ed Wolf were the head coaches at Wildwood, and they were like we are now. They had it rolling. I can't think of the Inverness's head coach at the time, but he was the same way. I mean, they were the programs to beat.
Right.
And so I was a young guy trying to get to them, and eventually we did overtake those guys, and that was kind of fun because they were around for 20 years and they had their program established, and they ran what they ran, and they were good at it.
Right.
And so that was kind of what we tried to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there knowing a lot of people don't know, like when they're listening to or watching a game, does it frustrate you when you're watching a game and you know what they're doing and you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, or when you watch film here, like for the high school, and you like, what do you?
Well, when you're coach, I mean, I'm a film junkie. I think any good coach is a film junkie.
Absolutely.
And I love watching. I get up first thing in the morning and watch high school film from Friday night.
Right.
And I don't watch it one time to watch it. I watch it 20 times each play and watch every position.
Yeah.
When you call it on the radio, no, you got to be. It's professional.
Right.
Now, it was tough a couple times when my kids were playing.
Right.
And I wanted to yell at them through the microphone when they messed up. But no, you just call it the way you call it. And, when we started doing the radio show, my wife was scared to death.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I have a thing called Kinleyisms. It means I make up words. She's like, you can't do that. You're going to have way too many.
Why not? Why not?
But, my part of the radio is just calling what I see.
Right.
And that's why I'm a football coach. So it just come naturally to me.
Right.
And I always wanted to bring, if you're listening to the game, I wanted you to visualize what was going on. And I think that's what I do, I guess.
The color commentator for the radio. So, I mean, it just like when I'll re-listen, I can't listen while I'm on the field.
Well, obviously,
but I would love to because majorly because of the delay. So there's like that 15-second delay. Yeah. But I always like to listen later on because I remember, because I'll film or whatever, and I love to hear, and I'd love to overlap it. You know what I mean? Like I'll just like play the whole thing, the whole game, and have you guys do it just like a whole game. It would be awesome.
Right.
But I always joke with my dad. He didn't really know what a wheel route was, and you kind of gave him a little shout out one time. You're like, all right, Mr. Goblay, that's a wheel route right there.
Yes, yeah.
And we always joke about that but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't get the terminology. They don't know, and because especially guys who played before, all these different, sayings and formations and stuff. It's all like it's like a foreign language.
Right. Some routes are just they're like a slant's a slant no matter what, and then there's some we give our own terminology to certain things. But a counter's still a counter.
Right. Well, yeah.
But most people don't understand what a counter is.
Right.
They don't see what counter, so I let them know that you're pulling this guard, and this guy's blocking down, and they got to run it up in that gap. And and I kind of try to explain that as the play goes on. And
do you think we make football more complicated than it actually is? Like as far as like you just explained the counter. Yeah. So if you explain a counter to somebody and you're like, all right, this guy does this and this guy does that. On paper, it looks like you're like, okay. Well, but as you watch it, you can't. Like some people can't see it like that.
The thing about football is everybody thinks there's some magical thing to make a team good.
Right.
And there really is not. There's no annexation of Puerto Rico play out there. It's you got to have your philosophy. Right. You got to have people that can teach it and kids willing to do it.
Right.
It's pretty a simple game.
Yeah.
And then you got to be able to execute it. And when we talk about practice, we rep so much that we don't practice to get things right.
Right.
We practice it so we don't get it wrong.
Right.
And that's what we try to do at the middle school.
Absolutely.
And that execution is what makes us successful over all the complicated stuff.
I think that's why Bowles was so good. They were so disciplined. They executed so well.
They were amazing, but they also got to recruit all over.
Well, that's true too. But, but you know what I mean? But you get guys like that or teams like that where they can do that. And I mean, whether or not you have the guys that are all-stars or not, if they can, you got somebody that can make the play, you know what I mean? It does help when they're bigger and stronger. But
well, you always hear, and I tell people this all the time, we're the best program that's never won a state championship.
Right.
And we've been so close so many times, and I hate it. I hate it. And people don't understand. It started with Boo when they made it so far. If they would have won that game, who was it against Santa Fe that year?
Santa Fe.
And I remember leaving college and going up with my buddies and watching the game. What a great Santa Fe won by like 40 points in the championship game.
Right.
The 2 weeks later. When Booby was a senior and you had Matt Ellis come here as quarterback. What a great group. I remember us losing. We tried to run right 24 3 times on the goal line against, I think it was against Mariana. and we lose that game barely.
Oh, that was Wilson.
Was it Wilson?
Yeah, we lost 7-6. That was my senior year.
Wilson ends up winning a state championship.
Yeah, exactly,
you know, and the same thing against Bowles.
Yep.
Several times against Bowles.
Yep.
I mean, Earl's senior year when coach talks about us getting tired.
Yeah.
We were up 14-0, ended up losing 17-14. Well, Bowles goes to championship game and destroys whoever they play down south.
Yeah.
You know, and I can go over that. Dion's group, Malik Bell, when we didn't score at the goal line. Remember that?
Yeah.
Bowles goes and wins again. And that was in the Final Four. So we're almost cursed, I think. And then when we do get through, we can see the best South Chaminade team you ever.
I know, and that's what I was telling Coach Sherman. I was like, you know, and I understand that as you get further into the playoffs, they get better and better. But it always seemed like we always went into a bar fight to go into a street fight. Yeah. Like you won one, you're like, and then you walk out, you're like, oh, well, gosh.
Like you said, when you get to that level, they're all good. I just would like to see us play against us. Right. And so now they've made the changes.
Yep.
And so now you're playing rural versus, you know, suburban.
Yeah.
But it's really not. Today's world's different. We play Cocoa. It's really a community like us, but they're not. Yeah. It's like us going and recruiting from get everybody from the area, all the best players from all around. Yeah. And that's what they do. Yeah. When they beat us a couple years ago, we're like, all right, we got a good team this year. We're going to give them a run. Well, their whole offense is not. Totally different kids that they had. So they're basically a private school that's public now.
Right.
And I hate that. And that's not sour grapes. It kind of sounds like it, but
it does.
It really isn't because we're the community that still just plays with our kids. Right. From Pop Warner to middle school to high school.
Absolutely.
And that's what I absolutely love about our football program. Right. We're doing it with just little old Webster, Center Hill, Bushnell, Croom kids.
So let's talk about now. Well, I mean, we can go back to where I'm just trying to figure out what you have planned for next year. This next group coming up. How do we look? Middle school, these 8th graders coming up. What's the future look like for South Sumter?
You know, Ty Lawrence took over from Coach Sherman, and he's just done a great job with it. Yeah. You know, he had great mentors. He played for Rick Darlington. He played for, I'm trying to think of the South Lake coach that was really good. You know what I'm talking about, And so, and he's taken all those little things, and he's done a great job. So he's continuing to do what, you know, Coach Sherman left off with. So they're doing a great job. Solid kids. We just have solid kids, you know. Yeah. Every now and then we'll have that special group come through. Right. So, and if you can, I've always said what made our best teams, we got to be lucky enough to have 3 groups back to back to back. Right. That are really good. Right. And when that happens, then we have a chance to be really special. And that's kind of what happened this last year when we went undefeated. Yep. You had the senior group, the junior group, and the sophomore group were really good back-to-back. Right. And so the senior group's gone, but that junior and sophomore group were really good. So I expect us to have absolutely no drop-off, maybe be better, you know, because those kids are a year older, a year stronger, a year faster. We're excited about our 8th grade group. Yeah. They're a bunch of really good kids, and we're excited. They're strong in the weight room. They're athletic. Going to have a little quarterback. His name's Kobe Bailey, and I don't want to put too much hype on this kid, but be ready, South Sumter. I think you're all going to know about him. Yeah. His daddy played for Wildwood, Ron Bailey, so he's going to be neat.
So when you have those years where you have the guys that are like, you know, you get 3 years in a row, then you get the 4th year, and you have, and I'm not taking away from any, like the kids are they're doing their best, right? But they just don't have it. Just doesn't fall. The pieces don't fall where they need to be, right. And you have those downtime years. What's it like middle school? The middle school version of that. Do you like, you know, how do you adjust to that?
Well, I don't know. I meant, competitive people learn more from losses than they do from wins. You know?
It's not always a bad thing.
I'm that kind of coach now that we're at that point where I don't get too excited about wins. I feel more relieved. Right. But losses really eat at me. Right. And we went through a stint where we went through 7 years without a loss, and we've lost the last 2 years a game. Okay. And so you go back and watch film, and you get better. Right. And you get with your assistant coaches, and we get better. And so you learn way more from losing than you do from winning. Yeah. So that's just kind of how we handle it. Right. because it gets at me. I dislike it. And we've had a lot of success. And we had a lot of success basically because now we have such a great coaching staff. I have Kevin Winter and Dieter Kadur has been with me forever there. Yeah. And they're just, they say there's only one Coach Howman. Well, we have a Coach Howman. It's Dieter Kadur. I mean, he's that guy. And Kevin's going to be the head coach when I retire, which is coming up in a few years. Yeah. And he's going to take that and run with it. And he's just amazing, amazing coach also. I'm very blessed to be surrounded by. But it took years, just like Coach Sherman, to build that staff up. Right. Yeah. And now my staff is all ex-players. I've had Jordan Dietz and Marcellus Hart and Zach Sullivan, and I've had other kids, Phil Jesmer was a great linebacker coach for us for years. And so we just been very blessed to have great coaching.
You had Ricky Velasquez too?
Ricky Velasquez was awesome. I tell you what, we were now he's my boss, which is cool. And I coached him. He was a captain for me. Yeah. And he was awesome. He was an awesome defensive line coach. That coaching staff was amazing when you had Ricky at D-line coach and Kevin an offensive line coach and Dieter coached linebackers and running backs and DBs and Phil coached linebackers. Gosh, we were rolling then. Yeah.
Do you have based on memory, do you have a player or a kid that you coached that didn't really do too well in middle school but excelled in high school?
Well, you have a lot of those kind of kids, that just, middle school is such a weird age because everybody develops a little different.
Yeah, they're kind of figuring out what they're going to do.
They just develop it different. Their bodies change. Like you'll have kids that are middle school monsters is what we call them. Maybe they're a year older or they just developed quicker and they don't do real well at high school. Right. The other kids catch up to them and they don't like that very much. Yeah. But I mean, I could give you a big list of kids like that. Like Mike McCrinnan was a little skinny thing. Yeah. And he was tough as nails. And he probably read open holes at linebackers as good as anybody. But he would play linebacker next to Nick Martinez. And Nick was already a grown man in 8th grade. And he got to high school. He got to start on the varsity next to Kendall Smith. I remember Kendall. But that's as big as Nick got. Yeah. And then Mike just kept growing and get bigger and stronger. Right. And then you can go like recently, Cody Lowe was that kid. Right. I mean, he was just a little small, not fast, but he was so tough and so sports intelligent. And now he's killing it at West Florida.
I love seeing videos of Cody Lowe out there. Just, it makes me so...
But those are great stories, and I love to see that. And well, you know what I think the best part about coaching is seeing those guys that are not even playing at the next level, but they're successful in life. Yeah. And just seeing Tony Smith today and hugging his neck. Yeah. It was kind of cool.
How was it coaching your sons?
Great. We had a rule in our house that I was coach at school, but dad at home. Yeah. So we separated that. Right. So it wasn't always, all right, you got to come watch film. We would talk about it. If they wanted to, then let's go do it. Yeah. All right, we'll watch film, we'll go work, we'll do this and that. It's some of my favorite memories. And both of them had great groups around them. I mean, Reese had Devin Pappenheim and Tafario McCracken and Buck, know. Yeah, so great kids around them that were fun to coach. And obviously Brock, who's just now finishing, got to play with his cousins, too, with Jackson Sarvical.
I was going to say, you coached your nephew as well. So
I coached him in Pop Warner and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So it was fond memories and ones I'll never, I can't wait to start coaching my grandson in a few years. All right, Thomas Williams. Yeah. And when he plays Pop Warner, I told him we're going to put the best Pop Warner coaching staff you've ever seen in your life.
It's funny you talk about Pop Warner. I've been coaching. I coached the last 2 years, and it's so much fun, man. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it because of the age group. You're like, oh man, they're so young, but it's challenging at times. And I'm sure
like herding cats when they're young.
Yeah, it's. Well, I never did 6U, thank God, but 8U was. I did 2 years 8U and Jace moves up this year, and to do 10U, and it's. Man, we've got a squad, man. I'm telling you, just like Coach Howman and his Ben and Earl and them, and we got our guys, and we got some kids that we can't wait to send them to you.
Well, I was out there today and watched them work out and all that, and they're just doing a great job. They're teaching fundamentals, and they're doing all those things that you should be doing as a feeder program, and it's just fun to watch. And I like to go to games and watch them. I'll watch 8 I like to watch the 10Us and the 12Us play mostly.
Right.
When they're here on a Saturday. 'Cause I'm not going to try to miss a Gator football game like it. So yes, and I'm so appreciative of what they're doing, and I think that's great. They're trying to get those kids ready for us, like we're trying to get those kids ready for high school. And any way that we can help out. Right. I mean, I talk to Smothers, Justin twice a week, you know, and
he does a great job running that ship.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to stay there at that level. Right. Even when your kids are gone.
Right. Be that guy. I've noticed that the Villages and like a couple other some mostly in Marion County they run the Pop Warner team. They're running their 12U. They run 12U instead of middle school.
Times are changing. Yeah. So Pop Warner went to unlimited, which I think is great because I hated the play down thing where you could be 2 years older, but because you were light, you were still way mature and way tougher. Right. And teams would load up on those kids, older but lighters is what we called them back in the day. Right. And now you're just playing against your age. Doesn't matter how big they are and all that. Well, because of that, some schools are just going straight to Pop Warner. Well, the reason why is they can recruit. Now your Pop Warner team can have a kid from Leesburg on it and a kid from Marion County. True. And they don't have to go to your school.
He has a ride.
Yeah.
He can make it.
And those kids find rides somehow. Oh, It'd be funny how that works.
It's funny how it works.
And so what I'm trying to convince, and it's making me afraid that, middle school football has become obsolete. Right. Because we've lost Wildwood and the Villages are both doing those kind of things now. So I'm trying to convince Hernando County, who used to be part of our conference, to join. And that's if I can get, it's going to be a huge push of mine before I retire. Right. So now we can do Citrus, us, Hernando. At least you can play an 8-game or plus game schedule. Right. And the neat thing is before they left us, we were going to have 2 divisions. And that was going to happen. We're going to have a South Division and a North Division. And then we're going to play a championship game. Yeah. And I wish that would have came to fruition because that would have been amazing for our kids, like the SEC championship type deal.
Yeah, that sounds way more doable than the structure we had this year. We were playing teams like Cross City and
some of those teams you won't have to worry about it anymore.
Oh no, they're out. Yeah. I heard they're out. So it's like but it's just you gotta drive all the way to Dixie County. Yes, and I don't think they even scored. I mean, it's like you go out there. I'm not saying anything by that, but I'm just like it's just so much
for kids that age.
And you got to be there by 9 a.m. in the morning.
And then the weigh-in. Yeah. Well, there's not weigh-ins anymore.
No, there's no more weigh-ins. Yeah,
so that's a good thing. Back then with the weigh-ins and all that was good. But I just like keep it local for those kids. So they don't have to spend their whole Saturday. Doing that kind of thing,
So let's talk about your kids. Let's talk about Reese. I'm gonna talk about Reese because he was one of my favorites. And Brock's a favorite of mine too. But I got to know Reese a little more because he was the older one, and he was first. But Reese played football at South Sumter High, and he was our quarterback. Yes. RK7. And a lot of people they probably don't know that he went to college where he went to.
He ended up first. He went to Oklahoma to play basketball. He's an all-state basketball player.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's right.
His
great basketball player.
Yeah, his first love was basketball.
That's right.
And so he went to Cameron University in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And played a year there, and redshirted. Head coach got fired after having one of their best seasons ever had.
Oh wow!
Crazy. So. New staff comes in and he doesn't fit into their kind of scheme that the head coach, and then followed one of his best friends, Xavier Story, to a small college in Arkansas called Lion, and they moved him to wide receiver and was doing great. Going into like his junior year, he was going to be the number 1 X, and he had a good season the year before, but then tore his ACL and just never really recovered from that. But he says I have no regrets from any of it. He still got to be on the field some. He was a long snapper. Got to watch Xavier just be awesome.
Zay's such a cool kid.
It's a great kid.
He's not kidding.
And great experiences. And he got to meet his wife there. She was on the basketball team, and
it worked out for him.
It worked out.
Yeah,
he outkicked his coverage for sure.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Yes. No, I got to learn. I got to talk to Reese. He had been hurt one season in quite a few times. I think it was like a nagging, just like one of those prolonged things. But I remember him being in the training room a lot. Him and I talked and stuff. I got to know him a little bit better. Right. But really great kid. young man now.
He was a gym rat. You know,
Yeah.
he grew up, and I think one of his senior speech was it was great. He says, I just grew up like most of us do, as a elementary school going to high school games, and just wanting to wear that red and black at one time.
Right.
And it's special to us that play and call South Sumter home, and it's a neat thing to be able to put it on at Pop Warner.
Yep.
And then make the middle school and do it, and then finally put on the black at the high school. Right. So it was always his love, and he was blessed with a lot more athletic ability than his daddy. Thank goodness.
Well, he got some of that from his daddy. So you can say some of it. Then you got Isabella.
Yes, and she's amazing too.
Cheerleader.
She was a cheerleader.
Yep.
And she teaches now. At elementary school.
Yeah,
and we have our first grandbaby with her and Thomas. Thomas is amazing.
Thomas Williams.
If I had to pick a
she's a great guy.
Yeah, a son-in-law.
Yeah,
handpick.
Yep, he's a good one.
Because daddies don't like giving up for little girls. And he's amazing.
Thomas is. He reminds me of like what you said. Like you were undersized. He was a little undersized.
He was John Kinley, later John Kinley.
Played his heart out though.
And got to see the field just because and the coaches would always talk about what's Thomas doing on the field. But he earned it.
Yeah, but he was out there, and he no matter what they asked him.
And being a captain.
Exactly.
And that just tells you a lot about
great
him.
Kid, great guy,
awesome.
Love seeing them too. I love seeing the baby.
Yes, Rowan is going to be. I can't wait. He's got having his first birthday party tomorrow, so that's exciting.
Right.
I'm a grandparent now. How the heck did that happen?
I know. Just before you know it, it's all good.
We're still raising kids. I tell people, I'm like the Godfather. Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. I remember when Camden was born, we get the email from Coach Sherman. He goes, "Guess what, everybody? Coach Kinley's a daddy again." And I spaced them all out 5 years. So in my family, we celebrate last. The last time we have to take a kid to daycare. Right. The last time I have to change a diaper. Right. The last time I have to give a bath. Yeah. We don't celebrate first. Last. So we're about to go through another last with Camden. Last time we have a middle school kid. That's coming up here in another year or so.
Well, that'll be it. I'm sure that's special for you guys.
Yeah, she's amazing
go
too.
To school
she's a little cheerleader and heavily involved in ag.
So, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, she's pro chair and as a seventh grader. Yeah, so she's doing great. Yeah.
So then you have Brock.
Rook.
Brock he's the life of the party.
Oh, you aren't kidding.
I think
he's got a lot of his mama.
I was going to say he's more like Stacy. But he's a great guy.
The thing about Brock is that just different skill set than I was, and Reese, just tough. He's that physical tough. And we always taught our kids we wanted you to be a football player.
Yeah. Not
a position, Yeah. So Reese's junior year played free safety.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Get on the field, whatever it took. And I, what I'm most proud of Brock? Two things. One, he played multiple positions in high school.
Right.
He started off as a nose as a freshman, came up and gave those seniors all they wanted during scout team, and then ended up being nose guard. They needed him to be offensive lineman as a sophomore. He got to start as a sophomore, as a guard. Moved him back to nose his junior year. Senior year, he came back to guard because that's where he was needed. Right. And he accepted those things and did the best that he could. And as a football coach, those are the things we're most proud of. Right. We're most proud of. And now he just accepted a letter to go to Warner. So
awesome.
He's going to
awesome.
And the neat thing about that, and our coaching staff does a great job promoting our kids, and they got his information out there. Yeah. And he had 3 scholarship offers, believe it or not. Lyon was one of them. We almost went back to Lyon.
That'd be cool.
Yes, but Warner's much closer, so we're pretty excited about that too. But they don't offer many 5'8" linemen at the next level. Yeah. But his play got him that offer. And the coaches just kept saying on his visit, it was like we kept watching Caden Payne-Wright's video. And counter was a huge play that he did last year, and Brock was the first kick-out guy. And he had some major kick-outs, pulls, and they loved him. So they're going to try to make him a center at college.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Everybody else is 6'3" and 6'4", and he's
going to 5'8". He's got that anchor down.
Yeah.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Kona Ice. Kona Ice is a shaved ice truck that brings a one-of-a-kind tropical experience to you. Guests can flavor their own Kona Ice on our signature flavor wave, dance to our island music tunes, and enjoy a nutritious and delicious treat. Contact Jeremy and Marissa at 352-403 0515. Don't forget to follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Pennsaukena's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and puff. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Is the exterior of your home or business covered in dirt, mildew, or mold? Driveway or walkway stained? Pressure King can make your siding, deck, vents, and concrete look new again with no damage. Pressure King has cleaned the exterior of houses and businesses all over Sumter County area. Usually it takes less than a day and costs less than you would expect. Call AJ at 352-457-7209. Brock, one thing I like to say about him is he's never negative.
Yeah.
Never negative. Like, cause I got the privilege this year to film from the sideline. It was the first time ever. And I loved it.
He was a team player, wasn't he?
Absolutely loved it. And I got to be on the sideline and I got to see him and Jackson interact every game. No matter what, they always took time. They prayed together. They talked together. It was a very special bond between those two.
Oh, those two are more like they're first cousins, more like brothers.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about those two is when they were little. I remember going over to the Pop Warner practice, helping out after middle school practice, and then coming over and watching the end of high school practice where Reese was playing. And so, and those practices are going on, I just leave them alone, and they're just little 7, 8, 9-year-olds. And Coach Lawrence was a linebacker coach at that time, so I'm over there watching offense and do their thing and all that. Next thing you know, parents are running over to Coach Lawrence, going, "These kids are beating each other up." Coach Lawrence turns around and goes, "They're cousins, they'll be fine." And that's kind of how they were. Yeah. They would beat the crap out of each other. Just like brothers.
Coincidentally, John, I was at the middle school working, and they got in a fight at the middle school. I was there, and I said, "They're family." That's how I wrote it off too. I'm like,
that's exactly how it was. And it was something dumb over flag football.
Yeah,
they were yelling at each other.
I get it. It's like you're like, come on. But it's family.
But I tell you what, and just like anything else, when it comes to family, I can mess around with them, but don't you dare.
Right.
We're going to battle together.
Right.
And that's kind of a neat.
Family takes care of family.
Yeah, very neat bond. We have a very tight family. Our very close family all the way through. All my nieces and nephews, and I'm really close to my sisters and Dieter today. And we get together as much as we possibly can. And that's God first, family second. Right. And that's the way we treat it in our household.
We talked about your sisters and their accolades and your kids, but what about Kirsty? How was it watching her?
I tell you what, it was amazing. And I'm Uncle Johnny to all my nieces and nephews and all that, so that's kind of cool. And I helped her along her way. I was kind of her swing coach growing up,
right?
And she just had that same thing that Kelly had. She was a gym rat. She just loved playing sports. I mean, she went to the state and came like third in the state in a shot put, and you know how small she is, and just watching her journey was cool. And I tell you, some of my highlights is watching her play for University of Florida, and that was cool. I got the privilege to go to her recruiting trip, her official one, and sit down with Tim Walton and Jennifer Rocha and spend that whole weekend. We got to go to the Tennessee game and watch that. They brought her and her amazing class. She was fortunate. She was the only non-ranked kid there.
That was a great squad.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. You had just great girls in that group. And then she ended up being one of the better players. She's still in the top 10 in a lot of Florida records. One will never get hit by pitches. she still holds the SEC record for that. Wow. But stolen bases and run scored and
one of the coolest things I've ever seen her do at Florida was the catch over the center field wall, and she threw the girl
against
out at first.
NC State. Yeah. And that made Sports Center #1.
Yeah.
Top play of that night, and that was cool.
They just had a girl on I think it was Alabama and somewhere like South Alabama or something like that. And they're playing, and this girl, they didn't have a fence like a wall at Florida has. It was like the construction fence like you do for pickleball or wiffle ball.
Yes.
This girl dives and lands on it. Like, I mean, thank God it wasn't one of those T-posts.
Right.
But lands on it and it just falls apart. And I wanted to put a side by side and say, who did it better? Like, but I'll never forget that. It was one of the coolest plays I've ever seen. That's neat. Very athletic.
One of our favorite moments is we couldn't make it to the College World Series the first year they went or something like that. And or maybe it was the Super Regional. No, it was the College World Series. And Alabama had this pitcher called Jackie Traynor, I think. And Kirsty hits a 3-run shot on her. It just blew the game open. They took her off the mound after that. And we ended up beating Alabama pretty bad, and they win the national championship. And I thought we lost it up in that room. The whole family was watching it up in the upstairs bonus room.
So very crazy. That was a very good group. Like it's just one of those. I remember being at one of the games, and I took my dad, and he loved watching Kirsty play, and she hit a home run, and I've got video of it. It's hilarious. And you can hear my dad go, "Wow!" Like, boom, gone, baby.
Yeah,
like
she wasn't a very big person, but she was powerful. I think she's still in the top 10 of all-time home runs at University of Florida. Yeah. If she might not now, because there's some girls that can just crank it. But she was at the time. She was like number 8 or 7, which is pretty cool for her size.
Yeah.
So
what do you got? I mean, let's talk about one of the other things you're known for, and that's from how do we say that? WSSH or radio?
WSSH, radio.
Right. I can never get the radio right.
I know, isn't it?
But you got you and Mike Foote.
And Mark Johnson. Well, here's the thing. Those guys started it up, and that's their baby. Yeah. And I can't remember how many years now, because time flies so much.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yes, and I used to, just like anybody else, listen to it on Saturday. You just watch the game, and then you get to listen to it. Yeah. And it's such a joy. And throughout the years, I would just come and guest speak when one of them couldn't make it. Usually, so I would just come in, and they said, "Can you fill in?"
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, I think I can do that."
Yeah.
I was a little nervous about it.
Right.
And but did, and it just kind of worked out. And I guess somewhere after the first year of me filling in, or second year of me filling in like a game or two a year, and they're like, "You know what? I think we work better as a trio."
Right.
And so they brought me along, and and they didn't have to do that. That's their baby, and it's amazing. You can't work with two better guys. And Kanan's our engineer now, and he does a great job.
Great job.
Just allow me to be part of that is a special thing, and I love doing it. And what we love best is the way the community reacts to it.
Oh yeah,
they absolutely love that show. And I'm gonna tell you what, Mark Johnson missed his calling. He should have been a professional announcer, something like radio guy somewhere. And Bigfoot is just great too. And on the home games, he has to fill in for Mark. But I really enjoy the away games the most when it's all three of us. And we just get to roll. Mark does his thing. Yep. Bigfoot says his thing. Then I say, and there's no dead air downtime then.
Three amigos.
And it's been a whole lot of fun. We're going to hopefully get to continue to do that for a lot of years. Even after I retire from football, I think this year's going to be kind of cool because we're going to add video to it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'd so you're going to get it, and we're going to try to make it. I don't know what the delay thing is, but it might not even be delay. You might get to watch it live.
Might be right on time.
Yeah.
So they asked you to just kind of stay on, and
that's kind of how it happened. Yeah. It just asked me, and it's like, and we're all good friends anyways. Mark
had you ever done anything like that before?
No. And the radio guy, had no inkling what to do. I just got up and started talking football.
Yeah.
And like I said, my wife was she's like, you can't, you can't. Like right now, when she watches this, she's going to make fun of a million things that I do.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to critique me, but
I do the same thing myself.
I know.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I don't like listen to myself. Now that I'm on it,
same way.
I can't go back and really listen to the radio show. I'm kind of like cringe. I listen to myself, but apparently other people love it. And that's what they tell me. What I bring to the table is I can see the game when you're part, but I can't do what Mike Foote does. Right. There's no way I could be the play-by-play, and I can't do nobody can do what Mark Johnson does. He just brings that perfect radio voice and his quick wit, and all the things. But I think the best part is I think the chemistry between the three of us.
Yeah, it's a great chemistry between the three of you guys. It's
kind of like that Monday Night Football back in the day. The Howard Cosell.
You got Cosell, and then Johnson can be Bob Euchre.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Just a bit outside.
Yeah, I was about outside. Funny story about that. Bob Euchre talked about it one time. He said he said something to him. He kept giving Cosell a hard time the whole game, and he says, Cosell turns to him and says, "You know what, Bob? You're being very truculent tonight. I bet you don't even know what that means." And Bob says, "Yeah, if you lent me a truck, then that's a truculent."
That was quick.
So it was right on the ball.
Right on the ball.
Quick.
So, some of the neat part about us doing the radio is people that can't make it, because during football season it's also becomes hunting season.
Right.
So they'll sit around in their big hunt camps and listen to the game and text us live.
Yeah.
So whenever I mess up on the radio, if it's somebody I know pretty good, next thing you know, there goes your phone. It's like, is that what that is? So another Kinleyism, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like one time I said on the telecast.
On the telecast.
On the telecast. Oh my God, I wore that one for a long time.
You're giving the weather and
on the radio, you idiot. But I'm good for about once a game, one of those.
Hey, listen, if you can't laugh at yourself.
No, I know. I know.
I remember one time I went to I skipped a game. I know that's a no, but I skipped a game. I went to Coastal Carolina to do some photography one time, and went to a play that night, and I was like, "Oh, the game's on. I gotta turn it on." So I had the game on in my earbuds while I'm at the play, listening to you guys versus the play there. And I told him, I said, I'm not there tonight. Can I get a shout out? And they said, Billy's in Coastal Carolina at Myrtle Beach. Poor guy. That's all I said.
Yeah.
So
must have been rough.
It was rough. It was college town. It was rough, real rough. So what are some things in the future you're talking about? Like, what do you?
Well,
are there some things that you've always wanted to do that you can still do? Or?
Well, any chance I get, I like to play golf. That's what
I know you're a golfer.
Yeah, I love playing golf.
Yeah.
Love spending time with the family.
Yeah,
and I like pickleball too. So I got 7 more years with drop before I retire, and then after that, my wife and I were going to get a small RV, Class C or something. We got a lot of stuff on our bucket list we want to do, like travel to Boston and stay in a campground right outside them to go watch a Red Sox Yankee game.
Oh, that would be cool.
And go to the city and spend time in those cities. And all those things. I'm going to be part of golf leagues. I'm going to be part of pickleball leagues. I'm going to stay busy. And of course, I'm going to have grandchildren growing up, so they're
going to be in the RV with you.
No, we've raised kids our whole life. That's going to be our time. I've been raising kids for 26 years now.
You heard it, guys. We're going to see how long that lasts. Yeah,
but we'll spend a lot of time here in Sumter County too. Yeah, most of our time, I'm sure. Especially like Coach Sherman said, when you got grandchildren, they start doing stuff. Yeah. It's hard to get away from that kind of thing. So I'll be doing that also. And, I just got such an amazing wife, and luckily she's a little bit younger than me. So, when I retire, maybe she can keep that income coming in so I can do those things.
To take good care of you.
Yes.
I think our program is going to look, the future's still bright. It's very, very good. And as long as we can keep that wolf pack and that triangle, or not really a triangle, but you saying like pyramid, go from here, go to the next level, then go to here. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is we got to, and you didn't have to do this back. We got to continue to recruit our own kids. We don't need to recruit them. We just got to keep our kids here.
Yeah.
And in today's age, it's tougher. And then we got the villages getting closer, and that's going to be a monstrosity of a school.
Right.
And so just keeping our kids here. And it's a shame that we have to do that. Right. But we got the right people in place. Like I said, the thing I think I'm most proud of, and I think Coach Sherman would say the same thing, is, leave it better than you got it.
Right.
And I think when my legacy's done, and that's going to be what it is. I just left it better than I got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like I said, Kevin's going to hit, and I'm starting to surround him with young coaches. And when we get those guys in place, and I'm going to let him take it over.
Take over the reins.
That's it.
Speaking of like recruiting and stuff, what are your thoughts on all the new college
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like any part of it. I don't. Where's loyalty?
Transfer portal and all that.
You know, I don't mind a transfer portal. One transfer, you get one transfer because there's all kinds. They get all kinds of things. Once you get to college, it's different than when they're recruiting you. They're nice to you, and so maybe one transfer. Right. After that, you got to sit out. But I hate the NIL. I think it's not what name, image, likeness was supposed to be. Yeah. That was, and I can get on my high horse about this. That was for like the Tim Tebow's of the world that were making. People were making big money off of his jerseys. Right. Those are the guys that get it. And I know college athletes at that level, their time's demanding, but they're getting pampered every way that you can. And plus they're getting the free education and they're getting stipends too. It's not like they don't get money.
Yeah, I think there's
at that level.
Right. I think there's a way to regulate that.
I don't know how they're going to regulate it.
I think there's got to be some way to do it.
How can a kid that's never played a lick at college football get multi-million-dollar deal? And when you got your veteran that's put in all the work. Yep, absolutely. To me, that would I don't know how you can keep a culture in a locker room like that. That would be, there's no way I would even want to try to deal with that.
Well, I read somewhere just recently that Florida had a transfer, and he's not even there yet, and he's already transferring out.
Well, no, he's there. He's an offensive lineman.
Is that?
Yeah, he transferred him from Baylor.
That's right.
And they said he's transferring out, but now he's staying. But that's touch and go. We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be hard for our kids to figure out. Like I think like you said, we've got the pieces there, but they just got to make that decision to stay. Where we're gonna.
Like I said, it's a shame we have to do that. We've got to recruit our own campus. Yeah. We always recruit our campus, but we got to keep our kids here, because it's easy to play for a 7-on-7 team, and now that coach wants you. And in today's a little more fickle world, that like Coach said, and Boo even, I don't like the position I'm playing, or I'm not starting right now. Right. It's easy to go to that other school and do that,
Well, a lot of people don't realize.
Instead of just working and waiting your time. Right. And if it takes till your senior year, those are some of my favorite stories. Right. Those guys that just busted their butt till their senior year, and they finally get to see the field and make the best of it. Yeah.
I think if you're more submissive and you do what, like, if we need something, just like what happened to Boo, hey, we need a quarterback just to do the scout team. People understand, they recognize that, and they go, look, this guy's willing to do whatever he can to do what to get where he's going. And I think that speaks very loudly. Like a lot of kids, they just go, well, I'm playing quarterback and that's it. And if I'm not playing quarterback, then I'll go somewhere else.
What I try to tell parents and this travel ball thing is such a big deal nowadays. I mean, it's just everybody's doing travel ball. It's big money. Parents are spending huge amounts of money for a kid that might be 12 and never played the sport when he's a high schooler. But that being said, you could be on a great travel ball team and you're going playing in this big tournament in Tampa and you win it. Right. No one's cheering you on. No. It takes all weekend. You got mom and dad that are there, and that's it. You come win a district championship at our baseball team, the whole community shows up for that. Right. And they know you for who you are. Right. And we support our community is great at supporting that. And it's something you can't take away. Right. I remember when Reese was playing AAU basketball with a bunch of Citrus kids, and there's kids in the like Franklin, Sam Franklin, he's in the NFL doing great. Right. He played with some great guys on that team, and they would win all the time. But it's just the parents there. If the parents even showed up that weekend, it wasn't like win a district championship for our basketball team.
And there's nothing wrong with the travel thing. No. But my thing is, okay, you win a tournament, then you just turn around and do it all over again. Yeah. It's like it's not. There's not enough time to space it out. Right. You know what I'm saying? It feels like that. I don't know if there
it is kind of like that. It's kind of like that, and also it's not fun. A lot of fundamentals. They get the best kids together. Right. They practice once a week and go play 7-8 games during the weekend. Right. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you this too. Are you excited about our new field?
Gosh, how awesome is that? It's going to be beautiful. Yes, I'm very excited about it. Our facilities. Actually, the coaches at Warner were bragging about our facilities, like our weight room now. Yeah. When I grew up, we lifted behind a stadium. Yeah, we were that little 10 by 10 room. Right. I was one of the first groups that ever got into that. Wow. And we were happy to have that at the same time. But Yeah, I think our facilities for a high school are second to none.
Oh,
they're great.
Yeah.
And I think sadly it's part of what you have to do.
Right.
To keep our kids,
It is, but in the long run, that's good. I mean, it just makes you. I don't know. The kids. It makes the kids feel like they're.
Yes.
You're not playing in a rundown stadium. Like when we went back to Dixie County, I was like, oh my gosh, these are like the ancient ruins here.
No.
And AJ Brown was there. He goes, man, I played on this field too. I'm like, well, I mean, not.
There was a time when going to Dixie County was cool when they were rolling and we were playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Early 2000s. Going to that stadium was awesome because they don't have a track around it.
Right.
And I love those kind of fields.
Yeah.
And it was still a small town and that stuff. But now if you don't, like you said, if you don't keep up with it, you don't have the same coaching staff that just, makes it better. And it's just, it's what Coach Lawrence and that staff and the administration, they all understand that.
Yeah.
What does it take to keep our kids here? And that's what we're doing. And you can put when this is done, our facility is going to be as good as anybody's anywhere. And that's neat to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there any you've seen the schedule for upcoming years?
Yeah, it's good.
Any games in particular that you want to circle or that you're excited for?
Well, I'm always excited for our schedule, but no, offhand I can't think of some of the new teams. I like seeing different schools.
Yeah.
And I know we got 2 or 3 different schools this year, and I can't think of it. I wish I could pull it up.
Got the one from Miami coming up.
Wow. Yes. Are they still coming up?
I don't know.
I think they might have canceled. Somebody canceled on us, and we have to fill that weekend.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure for that. But anyways, just anybody that's new, I think that's neat. And the same thing for our middle school program.
Absolutely.
Whenever we get to play somebody different that's never seen us and we've never seen them, it's just a neat challenge. And I know their schedule is going to be very demanding this year, but that's okay because we feel like we have a championship squad. I think we do. I think we're going to have that.
So, you're talking about playing somebody different. I always loved playing. My favorite was Jones. Playing Jones in the Citrus Bowl.
Right.
That's my favorite because you talk about the facilities. You're playing in the Citrus Bowl.
Right.
And then you get to be in the same locker room or on the field as these great players that have always been there. Right. And I just think it makes these kids, I don't know, it just gives them a sense of, pride and joy that they played on the same field. Like you ask Your Highness Morgan playing Jones again, that was a battle. It was awesome.
They were good too.
Oh yeah.
We had a good squad then too, and that was just playing the Citrus Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
When
you're a small town, think about it. We have our little stadium, and this is the real deal.
Yeah. I remember hearing somebody play there for the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, you can't even imagine. You're like, really? They let high school teams in there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And but I think it was, remember Willie Craig when he went to Tavares?
Oh yeah.
They played Jones in there, and I'm like, I can't believe they actually let them. I mean, I didn't know they had high school teams that played there, but it was a cool experience, the whole deal. But,
right.
So I mean, we talked about where you're from, what you do. The radio station or the radio app is going strong.
Yes.
You're almost out of the coaching experience for middle school.
Yeah.
You have,
28 years I've been in it. I think that's part of just made us successful is that, just one guy being there for all that time.
Right.
And we're pretty proud of what we built.
Right.
And
done a great job doing that.
We appreciate that.
And it's one of those that's part of our program that, as a whole, we just kind of it all forms together, but we're just very proud of it.
Well, and like I said, outside communities don't understand how important it is, but our coaching staffs always have. Like when Coach Sherman got Coach of the Year, I remember him speaking about our middle school program and part of his speech and all that stuff. And they understand that we're a part. It's not middle school, high school. We're one program, and I think that's very special.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's very special.
No doubt.
We talk kids and all that stuff all the time. Kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, Coach, hey man, I appreciate you coming today. I feel like I've learned more about you today than I actually knew because, I've known you for a long time, but just to be able to sit down and talk with you, and it's awesome. But I appreciate you coming by today.
I appreciate you having me. This has been fun.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, you're always welcome to come back on. And we can talk about games during the season or whatever. We'll get something going on. I'd love to do like a recap.
Oh yeah, we could do like a film breakdown or something like that. I think that'd be cool.
Yep. So we'll have to set that up. And, all right, guys, that was Coach Kinley, our middle school guru coach, and. Guys, we want to thank you for joining us. And next up, we'll have a surprise for you. I don't know exactly who's coming up, but it's going to be somebody good, so you want to tune in. And we appreciate you watching. Make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe, like. It's also the Goblay show is on Spotify, so don't forget to check that out, all right? This has been the Goblay show. I'm Billy Goble signing off.